Today we're going to be looking at how to add mixed numbers with different denominators. And as you can see here on the right hand side, there's quite a few steps involved in this process. So if you find that you get lost at any point, then I encourage you to pause the video and take a look at some of the video links in the description below where we break down a lot of these steps in a lot further detail. So in question number 1, we're being asked to add 2 and 1/2 plus 3 and 1/3. So looking at the steps that we have to follow here, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the whole numbers together. So in question number 1, we have a 2 and a 3, and 2 plus 3 gives us 5. So we're going to go ahead and write a 5 here. The next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and cross out both the 3 and the 2 so that we don't get confused. We've already added those numbers together. And our next step is to go ahead and rewrite these fractions with common denominators. And there's many different ways to find a common denominator, but for this video, we're just going to go ahead and multiply the denominators to find a common denominator. And we know that 2 times 3 gives us 6, so we're going to go ahead and rewrite these fractions down below with our new denominator of 6. So our next step is, because we've multiplied our denominators by a certain value, we need to make sure that we multiply our numerators by the same value as well so that we can keep the fractions equivalent. And I know that I had to multiply 2 times 3 in order to get 6, so I need to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. And 1 times 3 gives us 3. And with our second fraction, I know that I had to multiply 3 times 2 in order to get the new denominator of 6. So I'm going to have to multiply the numerator by 2 as well. And 1 times 2 gives us 2. So now that our fractions have a common denominator, we can go ahead and add these fractions together. And we know that when we're adding fractions, that our denominator's value isn't going to change. It's still going to be 6. So we're going to go ahead and write a 6. And we're just going to add our numerators. So 3 plus 2, which we know gives us 5. So now we can go ahead and write the fraction part of our mixed number up top, which is 5/6. So our last step is to simplify the fraction if needed. And looking here, I know that there's no common factor between 6 and 5 other than 1, so we know that this answer is written in its lowest possible terms. So 2 and 1/2 plus 3 and 1/3 gives us 5 and 5/6. So now looking at question number 2, we know that our first step is to add the whole numbers together, and 3 plus 4 gives us 7. So we're going to go ahead and write a 7 there. Next, we're going to cross out our whole numbers so we don't get confused. The next thing we need to do is rewrite the fractions with our common denominator. So for this one here, we're going to go ahead and multiply our denominators once again, and we know that 4 times 2 gives us 8. So we're going to rewrite these fractions with the new denominator of 8. And to keep these fractions equivalent, we need to make sure that we're multiplying the numerator by the same value as the denominator. So for our first fraction, we had to multiply 2 times 4 in order to get 8. So we're going to have to do the same thing to our numerator up top. And 1 times 4 gives us 4. And for our second fraction, we had to multiply 4 times 2 in order to get our denominator of 8. So we have to do the same thing to our numerator up top. And 1 times 2 gives us 2. So now we're going to go ahead and add these fractions together. And we know that the value of the denominator hasn't changed. It's still 8. So we're going to now add the numerators together. And 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So now looking at this fraction, I can see that both 8 and 6 are multiples of 2. So I know that I can actually simplify this fraction. So we're going to go ahead and divide both 8 and 6 by 2 so that we can simplify this fraction or write it in its lowest possible terms. And we know that 8 divided by 2 gives us 4, and 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. So since we know this fraction is written in its lowest possible terms, we're going to go ahead and rewrite this up above in our final answer. So 3 and 1/2 plus 4 and 1/4 gives us an answer of 7 and 3/4. So I hope this video has helped you to understand how to add mixed numbers that have different denominators. Thanks again for watching, and please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below. As always, enjoy today's math lesson.